Hello and welcome to day 2 of week 7 of split 2 of the 2019 OPL. I am Nick Boy Richardson, and we squeezed it just by the skin of our teeth with that one. If it wasn't for the laugh, we would have got away with it. I, of course, am joined by Bryce. I love juggling Paul and Rusty.
Did you write these down?
I don't even remember you saying that last week, but I did write it down to be like, I'll call him that. I remembered Booch. And then apparently you said I like juggling.
I do like juggling, but not the juggling you expect, like soccer ball juggling.
And turkeys now, right? But not the type you'd expect. Bowling turkeys.
Yeah.
Bowling turkeys.
Absolutely right.
Bryce,
God, you guys
I
are
wish there
smart.
was a replay. I wanted to gobble like a turkey. Paul is on the couch. How are you, boys?
Good.
Yeah.
Been rough last night, I would say, after the defeat for AV personally, but excited to get back into the action today. It's just good to be in the studio and watch more OPL, especially week 7 when every game's very important.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I had a real good day yesterday. It was,
Did you?
It was fun. It was.
You mean on broadcast or just
Yeah,
in general?
just in general. I had no
Good.
defeats. It was just a good time.
Was
Yeah.
How'd
Yeah.
this go?
No defeats?
Yeah, no
defeats?
defeats. That wasn't even intentional.
We smashed it.
6 in a row.
We had a pretty good run. The ARAM went well.
The thing is, you can't really include TFT in a win rate because, like, it's not a
You
team
got top
thing.
4 though.
Oh, yeah, but
Like
like,
you're saying you personally.
No, but like, yeah, it's like we got top
Right,
6
okay.
when the cast changes. Also, it's not like we've won on stage because only one person gets to win.
Yeah, but ARAMs we're doing pretty well.
We're
are
dominant.
actually,
We
yeah.
had the sweatiest tally on our team you've
Did
ever.
ya?
He did not speak. He said 0 words, and he was
honestly-
like playing talent and was like 30-0 by the end of the game.
Honestly, he seriously said maybe 15 words the whole time we were playing. He was just sitting there, just in the zone. And Bryce didn't die once, so therefore spent... Oh, no, you died right at the
Close.
end. But spent nothing. So had no items, just had stacks of gold.
I was just a boot Chalice Ivan until the last.
Oh, you were playing
The
Ivor.
last moment,
Oh.
yeah, and I had like 9.3k gold or something, and then I got slapped by a I tried to 1v1 the Corky, and it didn't work out.
It was a good time, though. It was a very good time.
yeah.
We, of course, are excited to be back. Today, it is Budget Cosplay Day. We're going to see your budget cosplays. I'm very excited for that. You still have some time to send in your submission. Some examples there from last time we did this, which I believe was actually last year. The OPL Budget Cosplay, all you need to do is put together the most budge version of a League of Legends champion cosplay you can come up with. And the top 4 will win themselves a HyperX gaming headset. It's an equal top 4. One
no
person doesn't
winner.
get 2 headsets. One person doesn't get a good headset, and then every time you go down, I've just removed 1 wire or something.
Is there a winner?
I think we should. I think that for just like
For pride's
it-
sake.
pride and integrity,
Yeah.
we can say you won, and the rest of you, it's just a cash grab for HyperX. But
There's got to be that decision. Like at the end,
There
like
needs to be
Tony
a winner.
Abbott, the most budge.
I mean, first of all, I wasn't expecting that at
You said
all.
budge, and it was just like, bing!
And second of all, I like to think that you even know anything about Australian politics is amazing.
I know a bit. What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I guess you live in Canberra, or you
Yeah.
lived in Canberra.
Yeah.
That's where all the politics
It all
is.
congregates.
That's where it is. It
Yeah.
all congeals in Canberra. But before we get to the budget cosplays, please send them in to the OPL Twitter. We have a lot of games, so let's take a look at the schedule that we'll be playing today. And when I say we, I do of course mean the team of professional players. Legacy versus Bombers, game number 1. Mammoth take on Direwolves, game 2. Order up against Gravitas for game 3. And finally, Avant versus Chiefs for game numero 4.
Not quattro.
4-0.
You just gotta roll with it sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the games today, though. I think the back 2 are the most interesting for me. I would say in terms of results, they're the least known or expected. I would say Chiefs should come in favourites to the 4th game, but you never know. But for me, the biggest thing that I'm looking at today is how Mammoth perform on blue side against the Direwolves that were able to win yesterday. So there's a lot of things there in that second game that I'm super curious to watch, though expectations are already set.
Yeah, okay, you're talking about the back 2. I just heard a little whisper in my ear. I've been told that if Direwolves get a victory today, it locks Legacy out of the playoffs.
Really?
Week 7. That's like 3/4 of the way through the season.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, so this is certainly a trying time. And like speaking of Legacy, you saw after the game yesterday, they literally got styled on. They didn't get to play, and Chaz was tweeting afterwards like the resilience is there. They're like, yes, like I know the season is not what we want it to be. Like they had the up and up, like during Split 1. Split 2 has fallen off the bandwagon, but they want to be putting on good performances. They're still like trying their absolute best coming out. This is going to be a tough game versus a Bombers yesterday that are certainly like on the up and up this season. And yeah, this is going to be an important one.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to be retrospective at the end of the split, but for week 7, Legacy should really be disappointed, right, with what they came into Split 2 with. When you think of that progression at the end of Split 1, they were taking games off some of the best teams, if not challenging the best teams at times, right? So to come into Split 2 to be now 1-12, I think goes against anything they would expect after the first entire split was spent building. And, you know, teams like Direwolves who were doing a similar thing, they realized that it's not working. They couldn't course correct the ship, so they just got some imports instead.
It's a difficult scenario, even though obviously I just actually heard what you said. It's a difficult scenario, although it is one of their own making for Legacy, to be locked out of Gauntlet due to someone else's success in a game that you know. It doesn't matter how they could thrash Bombers today, and it's like, oh well, that would be a bittersweet victory. But you know, like it's their own doing.
Yeah, what does that mean? Right? That means that if Legacy don't win every single game for the rest of the season, and if Direwolves
win one,
like that, like this, if they are to win today, you know, Direwolves to lose, they don't get locked out, and it is to progress week to week. The situation still has to be there.
Yeah.
And like any from either side, from Legacy, like not going upwards, and Direwolves, like not going up an extra spot.
It's an exciting time to be
Do you
alive.
reckon Legacy knows? Like, do you reckon Legacy have come into today knowing?
Should we go tell them? Because they're just sitting in the next room.
100%. Like, if you're attached to the team, like, you know what I mean? Like, you're looking at your head-to-heads, like, if you're on the upwards of the ladder, but, like, you're 100%, like, tracking your season as this one progresses. And it's like, yeah, like, you're now week 7. Like, after this, there's a couple of weeks left in the OPL, like, surely.
Do you think it would be too much of a mental boom for like one of us to sneak in there just before the game and go, just before you get started, know that none of this matters, and then just like wander
Not yet.
out?
What if they win? What if they smack Bombers?
Yep.
What if Direwolves get smacked by Mammoth?
Well, then we're on again next week, and we just see how it goes.
Yeah, and then we have this conversation every single time.
Please send in your budget cosplays, and also please send in your Ask Nick Boys to asknickboy@gmail.com. We are doing the Nick bag. We want your questions, relationship-wise, parenting-wise,
Honestly, anything.
clothing-wise, literally anything. Like, just ask anything. You can ask for directions, and we'll figure it out. We've got a computer. We'll do the work that you are too cowardly to do yourself. So send them in to asknickboy@gmail.com. Should be a chilled, relaxed evening, gentlemen.
Yeah.
Chilled, relaxed.
And it's
Chilled,
just
relaxed.
us.
Yeah.
That's
the
right.
whole time.
Spawn's on the desk for the whole day.
We get the comfiest part of the room.
Well, that's not technically true, because Spawns is the comfiest, because I believe he's just wearing track pants. Let's throw it over to the Macca's Champ Select.
Hello? Outrageous. Are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Can we just roll the tape back a couple of minutes? How you doing, Pulse?
Apparently you have the coach headset.
I have the coach headset? Well, then this headset is on the opposite end of the couch. Thank you very much for that. You want me to swap? I'll swap.
Welcome back.
All right, start the show again, Richard.
All right, so what are we calling our duo in there? Because I feel like I've got me and Bryce with like the millennial duo.
Okay.
You and me. Like, I don't know if Spawn and Pulse really combine.
Porn? I think is what it is. Well, no, we both did martial arts.
That is true.
So
I feel like you
we're
may have just nailed it with the first one there.
And I feel like, if anything, what was that? Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I could be Jack Black from Kung Fu Panda.
Jack Black?
Yeah. And have you seen Kung Fu Panda?
I have, yeah.
What character would you want to be?
I guess the monkey.
The monkey?
Yeah. It's voiced by Jackie Chan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well,
The Kung Fu Panda
we're the
cast.
two Jacks.
The
'cause
two
you're
Jacks.
Jackie Chan.
The two
and I'm
Jacks.
Jack Black.
Wow, that worked out real well.
Yeah.
There you go. Great start to the day. Well, hopefully it's a good start to the day for Legacy, because this is going to be a rough one. Playing into Bombers. Have to win this game if they want to get anywhere in summer.
Absolutely. And you know, the thing about Legacy is they are Groot. And I've used this analogy before. But I'm pretty sure that as a part of the Avengers, they know all the outcomes to this. They've got the league exactly where they want them. And it's only on the up and up from here. This is the one. So what happened is at the start of the season,
Yeah.
Carbon saw the 9,999 possible.
Right, like Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
futures, and this is the only future in which Legacy unfortunately make playoffs. So he's lined his team up for success. A couple of people had to die along the way.
Right.
I don't know whether we're in spoiler range territory of this movie still, so people
No,
are
I think
probably
we're good.
yelling in Twitch chat.
Yep.
A couple of people had to die along the way. Some people still might have to die in the future.
Maybe.
But you know what? We're where we want to be as a Legacy fan.
I feel like we could probably just like attach teams to characters, but I don't know who made the sacrifice. We can probably think about it.
Order's definitely made the first one because we're the only team to lose against Legacy so far. So we're Gamora. Who did Thanos chuck off the cliff for it?
Well,
His
that
daughter.
is spoiler territory, right?
Oh, sorry.
Right? Isn't it?
I don't know.
Well, no, not saying that, but saying who it was.
Yeah, true. We have a champion.
But I
select.
reckon, yeah, Order's probably that character.
Yeah, we got chucked off a cliff.
Yeah, Azir, Silas, and Akali from Legacy. First pick Renekton, actually, and
Oof.
Lux. So, considered right now some of the strongest picks. I mean, especially with the 9-14 patch here with Renekton. The classic hover over Cho'Gath. Bombers going to pick up the Lovers Duo, nothing really to write home about there, but have banned the Rumble, which has been something that Legacy have been picking up almost exclusively up until yesterday.
And a Lux Pike bottom lane as well has been locked in
Again.
again. This didn't have much success. In fact, I think it got exclusively dove for the first 10 minutes of the game,
Yes.
which is probably not where your bottom lane should be. Need to work on thinning the wave. I really hope that we get a dive set up so I can actually explain what I mean by that, because I feel like this is an area that a lot of teams and a lot of new players in League of Legends get confused of. There's a difference between getting pushed in and conceding your wave versus getting pushed in and being able to thin the wave. So when it does hit turrets, you know, 1 or 2 spells is going to be able to clear that out and keep you safe from dives. And
Yeah, right.
This is a lane I feel like certainly should be able to at least thin the wave. The way that Lucid Singularity works is that it's one of the only spells in the game that cooldown starts activating as soon as you throw it out. So you don't have to actually pop it to get like the cooldown. So you throw it out, you hold it in the middle of the lane, you know, maybe throw out a bind as well. You should be able to kind of start thinning that lane quite early on, I feel like, in the push. So
Yeah.
certainly, I think one of the safer lanes in League of Legends right now, and I want to see Legacy be able to play it that way.
Is it the same with Gragas? I can't remember if
Yeah.
it was changed or not.
Correct.
Yeah. Very similar abilities. Kennen actually picked up here for the Bombers, looking towards a solo lane, most likely top lane.
Yeah, it's Mimic's best champion, I think it's fair to say, and he plays it both ways. You know, plays it with the on-hit, which I would expect to be played into Renekton. If this Renekton gets swapped up and, you know, maybe they put something like a Corki top lane, then all of a sudden you can start playing a little bit more of that AP with a Proto Belt or something. So Mimic's certainly really good on that lane bully, and it just works out really well with Wilder, because Wilder brings a lot of the CC to these games, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And then if there's just any damage coming from Ryoma or from Mimic, they kind of blow people up.
Yeah, I would say, Kennen or Aatrox for me would be Mimic's best picks. And then I think in recent games, he's also flexed and shown that he can play things like Akali as well, which is, you know, often being a Ryoma champion. So I think, a lot of diverse picks coming in from him. Jarvan into the jungle, there was a Rek'Sai ban toward Wilder, something who's been picking up a lot recently. And Legacy looking towards probably solo lanes. There are a lot of flexes on the side of Legacy, to be fair.
Yeah, I thought maybe that was going to be the Lucian lock-in. It is one of those bully top laners that can be taken into the likes of things like Kennen and try and get something done early. It kind of sucks as the game goes on into an AP Kennen because your range is his range of his ulti and then he just kills you.
Yep.
But as all Lucian lanes are, it's about the zoning of the first 5 levels and setting up some ganks. Gragas is a little bit strange because I really like Guts on Rek'Sai, but they banned the Rek'Sai this time around on their side, and they're going with Gragas. Hasn't necessarily been one of Guts' best champions. I think his best performance has been on things like Skarner and Rek'Sai these last few games. That's a new pick.
It is, yeah. We've seen a couple cleanse, but nothing on 9-14 yet, and also picking up with the Renekton. You know, we've been having a conversation of, are we going to see Renekton, are we going to see Kled? Well, Legacy pick up both here in their composition.
And you're a little bit more of the Kled expert than I am, but my understanding is that Kled
Just by
wins
exposure.
a lot of ranged matchups. If you are a good Kled player, that you would not necessarily expect him to be able to win.
Yeah, it's due to range, basically. Like, anything that you would consider like a mid-range, like a 500 to 550 mage, is going to get locked down by Kled. And it's very reliant on hitting your Q, but you can also buffer that with your E. So there are a lot of matchups that like Kled can win unexpectedly. I would say like into both Nico and Kennen, these are matchups that Kled actually can perform well in. Roots definitely do ruin his day, but as long as he can get on top of the target, lands the Q because there's a delay on it, and as long as it matches the roots, you can pull him back in, and then you can stick on top of your target with the second activation of E. So I would actually say this is not a bad matchup at all for the Kled.
Yeah, and especially if we see him in the mid lane, because it's quite a short lane, and Kled always has had pretty good wave clear. Bear Trap on a Rope is really good wave clear early on in the game, and you just naturally build into a Tiamat, something like that. And his roams, I mean, you know, the charge, very good at accessing tricky parts of the map, you know, being able to leap over small walls with a tether range. He is a very fun champion. I actually, big fan of Kled. I think that League of Legends at a competitive level is much more exciting when Kled is a viable champion.
Yeah, I think so too. And you know, like Kled as a pick, like, because it isn't picked all the time, you don't know all the matchups, to be honest. Like the last one we saw that was Swiper in the top lane, it was like that was playing into a Kali, and it was like, well, does his opponent even know how a Kali Kled works, right? Because we don't even see that every single day of the week. But yeah,
well, the answer to that one looked like yes, because I think it was Mimic playing the Akali, and he solo killed him like 3 times. So I'm pretty sure that Mimic had a good idea about how the Kled Akali matchup worked out. Now we'll see whether Ryoma has a similar idea, or if Chaz even goes mid lane, because if we've learned anything from the Chiefs, it's just don't be fooled by which chairs players are sitting in nowadays.
Yep.
People can play anywhere and will play anywhere, whether their coaches like it or not.
Whether coach is like it or not. Well, we do have a coach joining us. Hello, Denny, and how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. And now, yeah, talk to me about like what's happening in this composition. Obviously, we're seeing like Kled and Renekton come out 2 picks. A lot of people have been talking about coming into 9-14.
Yeah. So I think like these are champions that have a lot of early pressure, a lot of like dive pressure as well. And if we get to do the plays that we want to do, the early game will look really good for us, really favorable. On the other side, Lux Pike is, specifically when it gets to level 6, they have a lot of like emergency wave clear in case bad things start happening to them, and Pike has a lot of roam. So they have a lot of opportunities to get Pike into Renekton Kled's lanes and impact those lanes as well. It just comes down to, can we put enough pressure on the top side before the inevitable bot side getting pressured out happens. Yeah.
All right, now a couple of your players tweeted out last night just that it's been a pretty rough season so far. I think Chaz was one of them, and that, you know, certainly they're still trying to be as resilient as possible, but not exactly where they want to be. You're a veteran of the scene. You've been around since kind of server's been around, right? Like, what are you guys doing internally, like yourself and Carbon, to try and get this team back in a good headspace and, you know, telling them this is a learning season and like getting them towards where they want to be?
A lot of it is like, there'll be moments in the games where they are doing objectively good things, and it might not have panned out for us, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't be doing it. And we try to reinforce, like, having them watch that and say, like, this is a good thing. Just because it doesn't work out doesn't mean it's a bad thing. This rotation here was good. This play here was good. And then we just need to do it. We need to do it with more confidence. We need to be willing to stake the game on it. So, like, we're willing to risk the game on it. And it shouldn't end up being a game risked on it. It just needs to have that confidence behind it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's like, it's obviously hard when you're like 1-12 and you're trying to tell people that just, you know, you need to play with the vigor that you started with. But it sometimes just comes down to, we have to try and reinforce those good plays, those behaviors.
Absolutely, and now coming into a new patch, that's kind of one of those good opportunities to say, you know, this is a line in the sand, like let's move forward with some new strategies and try some new things. If the people at home, this is a very different draft from what you normally see from Legacy. If there was one part of the game that you'd be like, watch for this for us to be able to execute on this, like what is that play that you want your team to make?
I think it's Kled. I also think that Kled is pretty similar to, like if you look at what we've played in the past, Kled doing just pushing in, kill threat potentially, and then roaming. Like he still has a lot of those tools, which you look at like other champions that we have played, and it is pretty in line with that. So while the aggression in the lane is different, the champion is like maybe a bit unorthodox. It still has those same tools that we're used to. It's not a complete departure from what we have done, but it is like making it a bit more unnatural for the other team. So putting our practice into things that other people are not going to be ready for.
Well, thank you. And honestly, always great hearing from your thoughts, Denian, and congratulations on First Blood.
Thank you very much. Have a good one.
I mean, I think that's exactly what he was talking about, right? That ability to tether, and it was exactly as you called it. Even though the snare was there, it just did not matter because able to rip back. Violent tendencies, when you also are dismounted, just does a ton of damage and extends Kled's range. So think that was good mastery of the champion shown there. Unfortunately, at the same time, there was a straight up 2v2 kill in the bottom lane.
Yep.
And he kind of said this, like, they've put their bottom lane on a clock. We know that. We know that this is going to be a really tough lane. We take another look at it here, right? It just looks like it's going to be a straight up turret dive.
Double binding.
Yeah, I mean, how does this go wrong? So double binding hits, and then it just walks over too many feathers. That's a little bit sloppy there from
Play
Kratos.
caller. Yeah, wow.
I mean, when you start seeing that happening, you just know that you're about to die. That needs to be an immediate flash there, but obviously wasn't the case.
Yeah, I was just like, how does a double binding turn into that situation? But yeah, pretty much that. And yeah, Luch was literally just counting the feathers. And it's just like, when you're early level, it's very easy to calculate, like, this is how much damage my Blade Call is going to do. Rip back, easy 2 versus 2. Yeah, mid lane, good gank coming in. Also had to burn the flash E, but I mean, for First Blood, definitely going to take it into the mid lane. That being said, like, laning is just kind of rough unless you're looking for kills as Kled into range matchups. You can see the CS differential is about 20, which is 3 waves or so. Top lane Mimic chasing down Paprise. This will be based on his E. Yeah, has it. Looks to chase him down, forces the flash.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Mimic had been able to tag him up with the E there, that would have just been a kill. So good respect flash coming through from Paprise. Actually really interesting that I agree with you. I think that Chaz should be down, but I've also watched Chaz miss about 7 CS just off not knowing his damage underneath the turret.
Yeah.
Where he was hitting the creeps. Oh,
Okay.
okay, that's very nice.
Looks like a teleport back into lane into just surprising Mimic.
So what Mimic wanted to do there is he wanted to hold the lane and not make it crash. So if you can do this well, you trade a lot of your health, which you're about to back anyway, to keep the lane there, and then they can't shove it in. So that means an immediate gank opportunity, and Wilder is on the top side of the map. Unfortunately, what happened is Freeze got broken, pushed into the turret, and by the time Mimic teleports back, he's going to have missed maybe a full wave worth of CS and experience. So that one has certainly backfired, and Paprise gets an upper hand and an experience lead in this lane now.
I mean, Cannon was low or dead, so I would argue probably like a wave and a half, to be honest, with Renekton pushing. So yeah, big deal there for Paprise on that teleport play. Yeah, I think Kled is one of those champions which, like, you have to monitor your passive to be able to CS well, which is, again, watching him underneath tower is something that, like, you don't really need to think about as other champions. But yeah, Q is a very good tool for CSing waves. Clears them very quickly once he gets Tiamat if he's looking for that item as well. So yeah, one of those champions which is kind of finicky, but would like to see him pick up a bit more of these. Bottom lane is just constant harassment. And Rogue literally just sitting underneath tower with like 1 minion left, just feeling very safe.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right, is that Rakan's safety in Xayah lanes, it cannot just be understated at all. However, what they are doing is getting a ton of priority top lane, and they rotated Kled up there with Ultimate and Gragas and threaten the dive. That means it's going to be another turret plate taken down. And this is one of the things that we criticize Legacy for early. Like, get Paprise off his island. Don't let him sit there and get bullied. Bottom lane, whilst they have died, is only 10 CS and a kill down, which is acceptable. This is certainly not the same kind of treatment that Paprise was put in early season. I think they've done a much better job of hiding their weak side or their non-priority side through some very smart picks, as they kind of said in that interview, and now getting things done on the top side of the map.
Yeah, Ryoma chasing Chaz up here, walking straight into the queue. Wilder's here as well, though, but this is still a mounted Kled. He's got Guts right behind him as well, looking for that CC. Flag drag, knocks up the Grag as he backs away. Chaz not looking for the fight, and they will defuse this one.
But I really like that from both Chaz and Guts there, because that looked like they had a good idea of what they needed to do to force Ryoma out of the play and then just withdraw themselves. You saw as soon as Ryoma left the play and stopped doing damage, they're like, okay, we're not going to be able to kill Wilder here. This is a tank. Oh. Hold that thought.
Yeah, underneath tower, Praediff low, just burning down from this one. Luch even makes sure to finish him off, lands the Bone Skewer, but Rogue's here to protect him. And again, another 2 versus 2 kill in the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, this is just getting a little bit ugly. Praediff had to burn his flash already. Doesn't have teleport to get back into this lane. And, you know, we said it should be safe. They should be able to clear out this wave. They should be able to trim it. But too many 100% HP waves have hit the turret, have allowed Rogue and Luce to just look for little chip damage. Then it comes into the all-in potential, and it certainly is still there for Xayah and Rakan. So, you know, starting to get dangerous down there. But I think it is due to slight misplays coming out of Praediff and Crazy.
Yeah. Top lane, though, is going pretty well for Paprise. This is a 3-wave advantage with the minion wave crashing here. So, like, this is just a one lane so far.
And this is going to be a 4-person dive.
Mimic has ultimate, but I don't know how well he can possibly play this to
Paprai.
try and get a kill in return. Paprai's tanking a lot, but he knows he can take one more tower shot. Actually tanked to perfection there as Guts swaps aggro, and no one dies. They get the kill, now pushing onto tower.
Yeah, really beautifully done. I mean, that looked like a disaster because Paprai was tanking the turret for so damn long. But in the end, it is going to be the remainder of the plates falling down. You see Praetor does have the ultimate as well. Paprai dies.
Quick recall.
Yeah, I mean, it is a nice recall there, but certainly not something you want to have happen. Probably would have wanted to share in some of this lovely gold that's about to go across.
Yeah, I don't even know how that is possible, because there was minions underneath the tower. There was no champion there, so I don't know how it aggroed onto him, actually.
Yep, very interesting.
Almost impressive.
But in saying that, it has been a ton of gold that's just gone over onto Lucian. He's about to take that bottom turret by himself, so it is going to be about 1,000 gold lead for the Bombers. It's just a very heavily split map. And now it comes down to, can the Kled, who is 30 CS down but has picked up a turret worth of gold, rotate around the map and get things done? Or is this Xayah going to get to 2 items, the Essence Reaver plus the Infinity Edge, and then just take over the game?
Well, if we learned anything from casting 2 years of Doinby, the answer is yes, he definitely can. Kled is one of these picks, once he gets the team that can roam so easily. Like, in my opinion, Kled right now is just better talent. Like, we've actually seen talent from Chaz as well, but Kled just does a very similar thing, can roam very quickly, high AD damage. And at this point in the game, this is one of his spikes. So exciting to see what he can pull off.
And Doinby loves those kinds of champions. Like, he even played Pantheon, I think, at Rift Rivals. Just these champions that have so much agency to get things done in the early game and therefore be able to set up easy win conditions. Guts is going for a play here, which I think is really smart. We've already talked about the scaling potential of of Bombers, so why not get on top of that? Why not try and take away a Rift Herald while there still is turret plating available and maybe force a 5v5 with your Kled here?
Yeah, Wild is stepping up. We've got the teleport coming in now, but it's pretty late. Herald's low. This will have to be a smite steal, but the engage is already on. Chaz pushing back that back line, and Rogue gets a nice CC chain onto the back line.
Really
tossing out the Gragas ultimate. Big disengage. That's going to be the first kill onto Chaz. 1 for 1 so far. The Herald's still low. Who's going to get secure? It's going to be the Kennen getting that one, but still Legacy looking to back away from this play. Paprai by himself. Can he get the return kill? Yes, he can. Call to Meek comes in big right there. Support from Crazy, but the rest of the team needs to back away from this play. Tossed out the laser, and that will be a 2 for 3, I think, in the end, with Bombers securing the Herald.
And this is one of those plays that Denian was talking about. That is the right play. They have a stronger comp at this stage of the game. They should be able to win it, but just masterfully played from the Bombers. This is where skill becomes a factor in League of Legends, and cannot understate that enough. Luch was a really well-timed ultimate, got the zoning feathers out ASAP. Let's take another look at it, right? So Chaz goes for Luch, gets his man, but that is an ultimate in the correct direction, and it just zones out an entire area. The fact that Mimic is still threatening a flank here means that Legacy have to go forward. They know there's a Kennen with ultimate at this stage of the game, even if he is on hit, and they layer them really, really nicely, zone them out of where that Rift Herald is going to be, and able to clean up the back end of the fight. Praetor still has ulti here. He goes for a bind over the wall. If this lands onto Rogue dies 100%. There was still the resets there for Crazy, so was a chance for them to even it out. But that's just a really great understanding of the Bombers of how they need to split up this Legacy fight to make it mismatched in multiple areas.
Yeah, it feels for me like Bombers was a team who was like a 5 out of 10 in many regards, and then just like overnight almost it felt like just started hitting 10s in certain degrees. Like when it comes to micro and team fights, that type of stuff, it's just like they have almost that X factor now that can compete with like the top teams and even overcome them. Bottom lane, Mimic once again in a tower dive situation. Not a whole lot you can do there as a Kennen. Mid lane though, Bombers all over this mid lane tower, so pretty happy with this trade overall, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely. But this is what's wrong with giving away the Rift Herald at this stage of the game, right? Because that is the correct play for the Legacy lineup to be looking to make. You heard Denian say it. We have a really mobile support. We have a really good diving mid laner because of this mount, saves a lot of the headaches when it comes to turret diving. These are the plays that we need to be able to look for. The problem is you gave away a Rift Herald that takes a free turret when you aren't there to defend it.
Yep.
And that means that it's a negative gold play, even though it is a correct play for Legacy to look for.
Yeah, Kled right here. I mean, another 20 seconds to plates fall right here, but Kled does take towers very quickly. Violent Tendencies does proc on towers. So got a good amount of damage there. Ken still moving back towards the bottom lane. Guts in the area. I mean, theoretically, if Legacy were looking for it, they could just go back to the bottom lane again and knock down this tower, but we'll be backing away from this.
And I feel like this game sums up Legacy's season. Because this is a team that is well coached and follows the game plan, right? We've seen them go for the top lane dive. We've seen them go for the play around Rift Herald, and now the bottom lane dives. That's 3 set plays that they've set up very, very nicely. Problem is that bottom died in the 2v2. That's a skill gap, you know? They then died again in the 2v2 as Paprise might be in some trouble.
Wilder, immediate ultimate. Throws up the Super Soaker. Paprise just does so much CC right now, being bled out here in the reactor. That's just a nice clean gank from the Bombers.
And I mean, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Like, why is Paprise dashing into a wave to be able to clear it out? Like, that gank should never be able to work there. You should be able to dash away from the Jarvan. If you actually dash through him to get out of the Cataclysm, it means that you can hold the second for the EQ as well. So just little things going wrong for this Legacy lineup, and they're still within 1,500 gold. This should be one of those games that, you know, if they hadn't have made these small fumbles in the early game, that they're right on with a very good team fighting comp to be able to take this game over. But unfortunately, just not going to be the case with the advantage that Bombers are getting on the top side of the map.
Yeah, this is one of those games I look at from Legacy, and I almost wonder, like, what happens against a different team, you know? It's almost unfortunate they're put in this situation here, like, a do-or-die day into the Bombers. But sometimes it is just like that when you're running a TFT comp and you run into the one person who beats you, who's on 10 HP.
You're running Assassins, and just Yordles come out of nowhere.
You're like, alright, cool.
And you're just like, fantastic.
I guess I lose.
Yep. Why am I not a sorcerer?
Yeah. Otherwise, I could just one-shot them, but... I mean, yeah, it is like a season of mistakes behind them, but it's just like this is one of the better games we've seen from Legacy in terms of comp, what they're looking for, like how they control the early game. But right here is just masterful control over what Bombers want to do and execution on it.
Because I think some of the teams have drafting issues still, right? I think like both Order and Gravitas came out yesterday and said, you know, that was a pretty shocking draft. Like, we probably didn't give ourselves the best opportunity to be able to win this game. Whereas I don't think Legacy have had too many of those. They certainly had a problem with leaving their top laner out to dry.
Yeah.
Whether that's a draft or a macro problem probably is up to debate. But this is one of those games where I'm like, I like their draft. I understand what it does. Kaz in some trouble here. Goes back in.
Yeah, looking for this 1 versus 2. Mimic slow. Dashes away from Bear Trap and the rope. Stunned down onto Wilder. Dodges out the execute. This could be a good turnaround potentially. Rogue getting multiple CCs. But now he's kind of there by himself, and Chaz looking to turn this one around. Ryoma pushing in from the top side, but Xayah just by herself. Legacy would find 2 kills.
Yeah, and that's beautifully played. As I said, their mid-game team fighting comp is actually ridiculous, but now Paprise caught out, might be in some trouble.
Looking for the wave, but 1 step away from a stun here. Yeah, Bomber's not able to follow through with that, but yeah, and Legacy get away with murder.
Yeah, I mean, they get the 2 kills, they get a massive shutdown. You can see now 5 assists coming in for Crazy, and they might look to fight here.
To trap them in a pit, only a few of these characters can actually dash through the wall, so they will have to force their way out, but Bombers aren't looking for a fight right now. And Legacy, I mean, you know, if we see more of that, that's a game-winning strategy.
Yeah, completely agree, and I mean, that's just consistent perseverance with the same play, you know, down into this bottom lane, around Chaz's lane. He has such good turnaround potential. He goes for it again. Teleport also coming in. And Mimic can no longer participate in this play because Crazy can get a reset, even though Wilder stopwatches it very nicely, and force Mimic completely out. You see right here that Xayah and Rakan are paired together, but then Rogue goes and joins up with the rest of the team, and that leaves Luch, who does not have the same mobility, caught on an island by himself. He's the big shutdown at this stage of the game, so will fall. And now the solo lanes are starting to scale up and get towards a 2-item spike that, you know, becomes a very real 1-3-1 with good collapse prospect for the Legacy lineup.
And it's getting to a point now where there's enough HP on Chaz where it's very easy for him to remount in fights. Fun fact, 2 full pocket pistols, and I believe it's 3 auto attacks will remount you on Kled.
Yeah, so the trick as, hold that thought.
Yeah, instant flash there from Creative.
The trick as you normally see it is when you go for one of those skirmishes where you know you're going to be dismounted, hold your W, your violent tendencies, get dismounted, immediately pop your violent tendencies into a shotgun proc, into a quick waddle back up for the last one, into another little hand cannon, and you're back on your mount pretty much straight away. Watch Stormby do it way too many times in the LPL for that to be able to come through. 957 also used to play a little bit of a mean Kled as well back in the day, so a couple of players. But it does seem to be, when you have skirmished a lot, hold that thought.
Luch simply sidesteps the cast.
Yep.
It's almost anticlimactic in the end.
It was, but nice hook over the wall.
Ooh, he's found him. Rogue over the wall, though. Crazy not quite ready to commit on this one, and the team didn't really feel it either.
I mean, that's so strange because look at Chaz. He's already got a big collapse, like was halfway to the fight. The charge is going to close the rest of the distance. He is level 12. And they had Paprise there. Obviously, no flashes available on a lot of their key carries. Makes sense that they don't go for it. There is, 4 flashes available for the Bombers lineup. So they probably are in command for the next couple of minutes in these fights.
Now we're at cresting towards the 20-minute mark, and we're at a dead even game. Chaz spotting Mimic, detaches. Chaz caught in his pit right now. I don't know if he's got the option really to remount, but is able to just get away from this play. The sight of guts is enough for Bombers to back away from this one. Chaz didn't even have to burn his flash.
Yeah, I mean, and that's two ultimates, 2 pretty key ultimates as well in the Cataclysm used onto Chaz to try and take him down. But as you mentioned, was able to escape, goes back, picks himself up the Titanic as well. So big spike coming in right now for the Kled player. And this is starting to get a little bit dicey. I think Bombers still outscale, right? So that's why I'm still kind of continuing this narrative of Legacy need to get things done. But as far as, how well they've done in this early game, well, after a pretty disastrous Rift Herald play, they've fought back very well, Pulse.
They have, for sure. I still look at Legacy, and I think, every week there's, a 10-step checklist, and they tick, another one off the checklist, right? They get a little bit further, and it's just it's like watching Edge of Tomorrow, It's like they get a little bit further, but they can never quite get over the finish line. And I've seen them in this situation, I'd say 2 or 3 times, where you have the early game advantage, you hit mid-game hard with a good composition for mid-game, but can never really find the objective or the fight that really seals the deal, and then it just slowly gets clawed away from them.
Because when you look at where the actual individual players are, Luch is an item and a half ahead of his counterpoint. If we could just get a look at the gold right now, Luch is 2,000 gold up over Praetor. And it's he's an 80 carry at the end of the day. So he's going to outscale. When you're already 2,000 gold behind the clock and you get outscaled, you need something to happen now to bring you back in the game. But in saying that, the Renekton is also 2,000 gold ahead. The Kled is 400 gold ahead. So there are win conditions. It's just much harder to play towards these side lane bruisers than it is a traditional 80 carry that people have just been doing for the last 5 years.
Yeah. That being said, though, if you're able to access and tap into that potential, Kled has hit one of the, I think, the biggest power spike he'll hit this entire game. From here, he'll start going from more defensive items, maybe a GA after this, but in terms of raw damage, not only his abilities peaked at level 13, but his items as well. So if he's able to get on top of pretty much anyone in this team, to be honest, from Bombers, he will just kill them.
And that's where the 2 big zoning ultimates of the Nico, of the Cannon will come out. Renekton's in the same spots. Shojin plus Black Cleaver, if he gets on top of the Xayah, good luck living even with the ultimate available, because he just hits you 15 times and you die. Now the big collapse coming in from Chaz. He's about to face check. Could be the fight.
He's looking for it. Throws up the joust, looking to turn back on towards Wilder, hitting with the Violent Tendencies. He turns on back towards him with a Cataclysm. Guts is low, he's down. Chaz about to be dismounted. Can he remount though? I don't think so. The team isn't fighting with him. Double kill for Luch.
You can see the teleports came out instantly. 2 TPs. That means they're going to look towards Baron, and Paprise has been caught out.
Yeah, Bombers are going to straight up start this one. Paprise to the top side, the rest of the team to the bottom. This is a 3-man contest. Praetor has ultimate, so does Crazy. Paprise will have to be the one to initiate, but he's gone for the damage build. He'll pop very quickly. Bombers turn back on towards him. Praetor over the wall. Baron down to 4,000 HP. Praetor looking for the CC. Throws out the ultimate. Finds one onto Wilder. Looking for the second. Rowe pushing out the fight as well, but Bombers turning back on towards it. It's secured by Jarvan. Wilder gets it at the last minute. And Legacy unable to secure the remainder of these kills.
Yeah, and I mean, Legacy, that looked like the fight was on because they were able to get a huge laser across everyone. Kind of strange that Crazy exited the pit, because I think if he had stayed in there and kept fighting with the Renekton, there was a real chance that they could just win that straight up. But it's going to be Bombers still being able to get themselves the Baron. They also take down Paprise, so stagger some death timers there. Let's take another look at this. So Paprise, as you mentioned, he's Glass Cannon. He's going to pop the ultimate, get some health back, and enter in here. And I think that, as soon as this bind lands into laser, Wilder falls down. that means that you can go for the steal with something like Crazy's ultimate. That means that you can stay in the pit and kind of tango, but another fight going to happen here.
Straight back into it. Kled pops the ultimate, the team there behind him. Wilder looking to enter the fight though, and Chaz is already down. Lucha's pushing forward. This is a front line. Zaya right now gets the first. And catching Guts on the backside as well. 3 kills for 1 here for Bombers. And Lucha's still pushing forwards with the Feather Storm.
Yeah. I mean, Luch was just so aggressive in that fight. He just immediately runs at the Lux and just multiple times zones members away, and that could actually just be the game. 20-second death time is here.
Fight into Baron, into fight. Pushing down the mid lane to sort of at least being in here. 15 seconds on Chaz. I think Bombs will probably back away, look towards bottom lane tower. The minion wave's already been set up, but this is all but a mortal blow here for Legacy.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I mean, that was just such a well-navigated team fight again from the Bombers. And, you know, you mentioned it looked like they went from this team that was middling to kind of that 10 out of 10. And I think that is exactly why their 80 carry finally playing with a lot of confidence, doing things like that, marching forward in team fights. However, looks like Legacy want to continue the chase.
Chaz, big flank out from him. Trying to chunk down Scarl, he's out of there. Mimic, he's toying with the idea of ulting, going back in on this one. Stun down onto the front line, Crazy already dead. Pap rides, throws it into the fight though. Gets 1, gets 2, gets 3, finds the 4. Obliterates the entire team of Bombers out of nowhere.
Yeah, and I mean, that's just a one-team fight for Legacy off some great perseverance. That is crazy. Just a huge teleport flank again from Chaz. And that was without the Pike being able to get his ulti off. You know, that was potentially 3 resets right there for him to be able to clean up a lot of gold. Did fall down very early into the fray, but very well done to get rid of a lot of this gold deficit. That's a lot of shutdowns gone. And Ryoma kind of has gone for a bit of a sneaky build, has himself a Medjai's, but that's not going to be all that useful if you keep losing these fights.
No, it will not. It looked like a lot of that fight, a lot of that damage in that fight, all combo.
Is he dead? Car.
He might be. Cast. It's good. And Praetor will collect the kill. That was essentially an ace coming out there, but the teleport's coming in from Bombers, trying to find some kills in return, protecting his mid lane tower. Blaycaller doesn't get Crazy, but it almost looked like Renekton with like 1 combo just hit 4 people and just knocked them all over.
Well, this you would know. This is the strength of Shojin that like it gives to the brawlers, right? You ulti, get that 3-hit strike off like into a QE, you're already back into like full ability rotation again. And it just makes Renekton such a nuisance to be able to deal with in these kinds of fights. Shojin is such a fun item that was added into League of Legends to kind of give these brawlers some more of that power. And it looks like Chaz is going to go towards Derek, so has an extra damage item left in him. Certainly going to help him level up in some of these fights. So you can see that they really still want to brawl. They're kind of extending their brawl window by going for these mid-range items. You know, it's not going to be a GA. It's not going to be a Stone Plate on the Kled. He recognizes if they're going to win the game, it's going to not be off a late-game team fight. It's going to be off one right now. So kind of persevering with this mid-game tactic.
It was just great setup coming out from Legacy, because those plays, I mean, I would call that a unicorn play, right? Like, when Renekton gets to hit almost the entire team, like, with his full combo, that's something you only really get in practice tool, you know? But, like, was able to do it with the flank there. Gonna use the Kled ultimate for the retreat, but Rogue smartly blocks it. Will force the flash out here from the Kled. Big deal when it gets to team fights, so nice little catch there from Bombers.
And just a little bit of a confusing play from Chaz. You see they have complete control of the top side of the map. The call had obviously already been made to not contest that Ocean Dragon and allow Paprise to pick up some much-needed levels. He needs to get towards level 16 before the next team fight happens, which you assume is going to be around Baron. So the fact that Paprise is that far up and does have to burn a crucial summoner spell is one of those mistakes that we just go back to talking about, you know. They've made a great play, and now it's just that little mistake that's going to make the next team fight a little more difficult.
This game, I mean, I said it 5-10 minutes ago, but it's still like almost dead even in who can win the next fight, to be honest. But yeah, if we see another creative flank from Legacy, that being said, like, teleports are down right now. Like, this is potentially a fight away from like Baron to win for both teams, it feels like. Maybe Legacy would need a second one.
I feel like they would need a big push and then a second team fight, right? They need the willingness of Bombers to want to continue to play this front-to-back game. Because you kind of are right. If they dive in and Ryoma has a creative flank and can get the back line, or, you know, Luch has flash and ultimate and can mitigate a lot of that damage and then be able to flash onto someone like Praetor, it is still a winning fight for the Bombers. But if ever one of those things is not available, right?
Yeah.
If you've wasted a Cannon ult or a Nico ult or Luch, has to ult away from Paprise at the start of the fight or a bind coming out from Praetor, and then that's not available for the main team fight. That's when these windows start to open up for the Legacy brawl to kind of happen. But I feel like there should just be enough, get out of jail free cards available right now for the Bombers lineup, with the Cannon ultimate, with the Nico ultimate, for that to be a very difficult team fight to find.
Yeah, definitely in agreement, but I think Baron is going to pull Bombers out here.
That's a great binding.
Getting the pick there. Oh, Mimic just straight up detonated. The execute combo there from Crazy and Praetor, the bottom lane coming in clutch, and that's the top laner just gone for this next fight.
That's what I was kind of saying. I mean, you got to respect the bind. You have to respect what Pyke and Lux can bring to these teamfight scenarios. Flash is still available for Mimic, but he just decides not to use the Summoner spell.
2-5-4 in this game. And yeah, Legacy just used that, able to push forward to clear out all of the wards around the Baron pit. And Bombers, I mean, straight up just on the back foot right here. Cannon will be up in 15 seconds, but Legacy have essentially 30 seconds of effective time to use here.
Gonna face check with it.
He will, but it's still Chaz on Skull. Wilder caught out, pulled into the rest of the team. Flash of the wall from Paprise gets the stun down from Ruthless Predator. Dashes through the back line. That's a nice double knock-up coming in from Rogue. Crazy's low. Chaz backing off on this one. And it's just lights out across the board like a house of cards. Legacy start collapsing. Praetor down and Guts about to be wiped. A 5-0 there for Bombers.
And such an impressive team fight from the Bombers. That's an outright 4v5. Mimic just joining at the end. The flashes are going to be expended down mid lane. They know that should be game. The Legacy, again, just that crucial mistake at a crucial time, and Bombers run over the top of them.
Almost a play that doesn't feel like should be feasible or possible. Just happens all at once at the end of the game, and Bombers a 5-0. I mean, that's just going to cement it. Push down the mid lane, a naked inhib into double Nexus turrets, teleport on the minion as well from Ryuma, and now onto the Nexus. Bombers put down Legacy, and Legacy now eliminated from playoff contention.
But it was so close. Like, that's one of those games that that's just a decision. Not even like any micro away from being a different game. You've just gained control of the Baron area. You know that they have to walk in to fight you. Like, they have buttons still available. You can't face check. You can't keep forcing. If that's not what your team does. And I think that Legacy kind of stumbled there just a couple too many times. The Rift Herald, they fought their way back into it. Dodgy mid lane push, they fought their way back into it. But this last one really did cost them. And that's the thing about League of Legends. We always talk about it. Death timers get longer. Gold swings the state of the game. If you're behind, it becomes increasingly difficult to fight your way back in. But I feel like Legacy really gave that a great crack. And that's not to take anything away from the Bombers. I think Bombers still played really, really solid League of Legends. But I think that was a great kind of draft put together to combat what Bombers want to do. And then, they executed on it well, but not well enough to be able to take the game. And then just Bombers all class. We keep saying this about the top teams. They feed you that rope. They keep saying, you can look for your plays. But if you stuff it up one time, we're going to win the game.
Yeah, carrot on the stick in the end, it felt like. But yeah, I mean, like, it does feel like we're getting more and more steps there from Legacy, right? Like, you give them more time, more weeks, more time to play together, and, like, you perform at an optimal, state for the team, which I think is, like, easier to say than actually done, right? Like,
absolutely.
To make players play exactly the same every single game, especially on a loss streak, right? But they are getting better, for sure.
And on the flip side, I think that's like 4 in a row for the Bombers right now. They're like well and truly on the climb. I think they're within 1 game of the Chiefs if an upset happens today. They're absolutely cemented in that 3rd place spot and potentially are looking to go back-to-back now in the OPL because this is a team that, Luch was very new as he swapped in, had to build that synergy with Rogue. But, I mean, at week 7, it looks to have happened and they look like a real threat.
Yeah, I've said it before, but it feels like exponential growth right now from the Bombers. But we're going to send it over to Nick Boy with the player interview.
A real threat indeed. Congratulations, Luch.
Thank you.
I mean, we'll celebrate the victory, but was that one a little harder than you were expecting up against Legacy?
Look, it was definitely a bit scary in the mid-game or towards the end when there's a Kled and Gragas and Pyke and whatnot running at you. So, yeah, it was definitely a bit nerve-wracking, but I'm glad we pulled through.
We spoke about this last time about how you've transitioned roles. It feels like, we've seen it the last couple of games, but this one particularly, it feels like you're settling in.
Yeah, that was a really enjoyable game. Playing Zyra Rakana, one of my favorite duos, and yeah, I'm really glad in how Jake and I played.
Good. Well, there's not much more than we need to say about that. We are doing the Nick Bag segment where we just answer weird questions that everybody sent in. We've got one about best job interview skills, tips, or advice. Do you have anything to share with the people?
Best job interview skills or advice?
Yeah, like if you were going for a job interview. Hey, I assume you had an interview for the Bombers.
Yeah, sure.
Or did you just like turn up one day?
Yeah, I had an
With your
interview
tax
for
file number form
Abyss
and-
Red. So
Yeah?
yeah. Job advice. Well, when it came to Bombers, I mean, having rank 1 at the time helped a lot. So
And do you reckon that would help if you were going for a job at McDonald's? or
yeah,
something?
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay. So
If
you just go rank 1, League of Legends.
you walk in, you flash that card, and you just show how much LP you have, and yeah, generally they give you a thumbs up, and you're in.
All right, well, there you go. I hope you're applying for a job with the Bombers. I hope it's not for Lucha's role. All right, we'll be back right after this. Congratulations, man.
Thank you. Cheers.
Wilder's stepping up. We've got the teleport coming in now, but it's pretty late. Herald's low. This will have to be a smite steal, but the engage is already on. Chaz pushing back that back line, and Rogue gets a nice CC chain onto the back line.
Really
tossing
great
out the
card.
Gragas ultimate. Big disengage. That's going to be the first kill onto Chaz. 1 for 1 so far. The Herald's still low. Who's going to get secure? It's going to be the Kennen getting that one, but still Legacy looking to back away from this play. Paprise by himself. Can he get the return kill? Yes, he can. Cool to Meek comes in big right there.
But this is one of those games where I'm like, I like their draft. I understand what it does. Kaz is in trouble here. Goes back in.
Yeah, looking for this 1 versus 2. Mimic slow, dashes away from Bear Trap and the rope, stunned down onto Wilder. Dodges out the execute. This could be a good turnaround, potentially. Rogue getting multiple CCs, but now he's kind of there by himself, and Chaz looking to turn this one around. Ryoma pushing in from the top side, but Xayah just by herself. Legacy would find 2 kills.
Yeah, the fight going to happen here.
Straight back into it. Kled pops the ultimate, the team there behind him. Wilder looking to enter the fight though, and Chaz is already down. Lucha's pushing forward. This is a front line. Xayah right now gets the first, and catching Guts on the backside as well.
Chase.
Chaz, big flank out from him. Trying to chunk down Skull. He's out of there. Mimic, he's toying with the idea of ulting, going back in on this one. Stun down onto the front line. Crazy already dead. Paprise throws it into the fight though. Gets 1, gets 2, gets 3. Finds the 4. Obliterates the entire team of Bombers out of nowhere.
Yeah. Gonna face check with it.
He will, but it's still Chaz on Skull. Wilder caught out, pulled into the rest of the team. Flash of the wall from Paprise, gets the stun down from Ruthless Predator. Dashes through the back line. That's a nice double knock-up coming in from Rogue. Crazy's low. Chaz backing off on this one, and it's just light out across the board like a house of cards. Legacy start collapsing. Pradiff down, and Guts about to be wiped. A 5 for 0 there for Bombers. And now onto the Nexus. Bombers put down Legacy, and Legacy now eliminated from playoff contention.
You gave me this when we were just 16 years old. Darling, cop up.
A little goes a long way at Macca's. Grab 24 Chicken McNuggets for just $9.95 every day.
We overanalyze that ad way too much.
What that woman doesn't realize is